Cummings. My company is called Time Rebel Games, which is a two-person company with my husband, Lee Cummings. And we've been making video games together for 20 some odd years now. Most of our lives were spent in New York at Take-Two, where we worked for Rockstar Games. Games like Grand Theft Auto, my husband was the producer on GTA 4 and San Andreas, and I was one of the people who put together 2D games back when it didn't exist. So I signed Bioshock when it was a couple pages. I signed Borderlands from a verbal pitch back in those days, and signed XCOM and bought Firaxis and neat things like that. And huge games and huge responsibilities and way too many hours in the office. And, I wasn't a parent then, we weren't parents then. And that was probably the worst of it. People came in on Saturdays just because they wanted to show face, regardless of what level you were at in the company. You just kind of felt like you had to be there because other people were there. And you weren't going to move your way in the company if you didn't put the hours in. So we did that and worked our 80-hour work weeks. And my husband slept under the desk shipping Grand Theft Auto. 6 people tested GTA Vice City, if you can believe that. And we had enough, and we left, and we made a conscious decision that we didn't have to do that anymore. And that was 9 years ago. We haven't really got into an office since then, which is great, which is something I love to talk about, because I think more people should be doing it, I think more people can be doing it. And quite honestly, I'm surprised now when I see job sites on Gamma Sutra and so forth, how rarely they're contractors. It's always jobs, it's always move somewhere, it's always you have to be willing to relocate. And I just don't understand that. We feel like we can work from anywhere. We worked in New York when we started Tiny Rebel Games. We were living in Brooklyn, and then we moved to Los Angeles to do some work for Paramount. And then we moved to Wales, of all things, to really put this to the test. A year and a half ago, we moved to South Wales, to Newport, where our family's brewery is, the Tiny Rebel Brewery, which was my husband's family. And we started talking to the Welsh government about how we could be doing more game development in Wales, because it was a nascent industry at best. And we just come off shipping Doctor Who Legacy for mobile, which had done well for us. It's done about 2.5 million installs, which we're pretty proud of. We didn't spend any money on advertising or do any of the nonsense that typically is associated with mobile games, like energy meters and all that crap. It took us a year and a half to put an advertising system in it. But, so that was great, and it was a game that we made with a team in Taiwan. So that was our first sort of baby step into the idea that we could do things with people in other places. We didn't even have to see them. In fact, I didn't meet anyone from our team in Taiwan until about 2 years into the live support of the game, just to prove that's possible. So anyway, we started talking to Wales about how we could do our next Doctor Who game and how we could do more of it in Wales. And I found out, surprisingly, as I did some digging around, that there were lots of people in Wales who did lots of relevant things. There just weren't companies that we could partner with. And so we decided that we would continue to work with our team in Taiwan. But it turned out that there were tremendously talented comic book artists in Wales, and colorists in Wales, writers who worked on the Doctor Who series who were in Wales, UI people who were in Wales. And we started to sort of piece together a strategy for how we could do things differently. The problems with central development in our minds, and why we're so opposed to ever really being in an office with people again, is first of all the hyper local limitations on hiring. You have to hire people nearby. You have to be willing to sponsor them for visas. It's a global economy where countries are not happy about giving out visas in America and Britain. And it makes it really difficult to find the best people. You end up having to find like who's local. The overhead, obviously, is a big issue. Suddenly having to pay for office space every month never really made any sense to us. The cyclical layoffs. I've been in big console projects and I've funded big console projects where people hire on 100 some odd people, more than that these days, to make a game, and inevitably it comes to the same spot. You get to the end of the game, you don't have enough for the people to do, so what do? You lay them off. The right thing to do is to start prototyping during development, but you're so focused on the game that who has time to be prototyping the next game. So we get to avoid those problems. Commute and life balance. There's an article the other day that, I don't remember the percentages, I should know it, of people who don't get to see their kids when they get home before they go to bed. When I got involved in the industry, which was in 1996, everyone was young. We used to go to the game developer conference, sit around the pool in Santa Clara, drink beer from plastic cups. Nobody had kids. Nobody had kids. And nobody cared about the fact that they were working crazy long hours. And now everybody has kids, or at least a section of the industry does. Certainly the older people in the industry do, and we all want a different balance of work life. So now there are days when I work 2 hours in my slippers, and I get done for the day and I go on to other things. There are other days where I work 16 hours in the day, and I can fit that in too. But the nice thing is I'm in my house when I'm doing it. The distractions of being in the office. I know people think that being in the house can be distracting, and that's true. For some people, it can be. And for some people, it means that they have to find another way, even if it's an office within their house, that they can lock the door in. But the distractions of the office, my God, I spent a year and a half going into the Paramount lots, and 80% of my day was spent in meetings that had absolutely nothing to do with me. And finally, actually, I think this is an interesting point my husband brought up, which is homogenization. Remember the early days of the industry where you could tell a game that came out of certain places. France, there was a very specific art style of French games, or there was a very specific art style for Asian games. There was a very specific style for different things that weren't part of maybe the Western market. And that was because of the fact that everyone was in one place, obviously. So when you can start pulling people together from different places, like we're doing, if you can have an art director who's in Canada, you can have artists who are in America, and in our case in Taiwan, and all over the place, suddenly everyone's looking at the same game, and everyone's thinking about how do we make this successful for where I am too, which is something that you can't do in centralized development. And it's funny, I remember speeches about this years ago, and I was thinking they were crazy. I remember Michael John talking years ago about how work was going to go away and everything was going to be sent freelance, and it was going to be like the film model, and I thought it was nuts. And now I'm certain it's right. It's really like the showrunner model in making television. It's a hub and a spoke. We're two people, and we're never going to hire anybody else. No interest in hiring anybody else, and we're fully convinced that we can keep making games this way. We're about to ship 2 of them that were made this way, and we coalesce the best talent. We use them for the relevant projects. It means that not everybody is appropriate to every game, but you find the best people. You give them a fair deal so they want to work with you again, and you're supporting their businesses as much as you're supporting your own. When you're working with freelancers, it's not just about your company; it's about their companies too. And the flexible structure really helps that. The fact that they're freelancers, the fact that they have a better quality of life, the fact that you don't have to worry about layoffs because people aren't working for you. You also get to remove some of the barriers that plague industry these days, female versus male, the Me Too movement of what's happening in the workplace, people who are just shy, programmers who are shy and don't want to leave their house and deal with other people. None of this matters anymore. People can work where they want, when they want. It all comes down then to just communication and accountability. We have weekly sprint calls where we all talk and everyone's responsible for what they're supposed to be doing. There's no more nonsense, and you can't hide behind meetings to say, that was somebody else's job, which is great too. And each game that we do, I think we get better and better at this. We're about to ship a game called Beer Money Inc. for the brewery next month, which is a Dope Wars style economics game about building and running a brewery, all entirely freelance. Our Doctor Infinity game will ship at the end of May with 5 original stories. Every aspect of that project has been done by a freelancer, and as the producer I've had to put all that together, and we've had to learn a lot about pipeline and how to efficiently bring 30 some odd people together who in all likelihood don't even know each other. And so far we're managing to do it. I think our biggest challenges in terms of what's next are how to make sure that that's a fair deal, how that isn't just a deal that benefits us as Tiny Rebel, because we're only 2 people on the project. And so we've had to get creative in thinking about IP. We've been looking at things like the crypto universe with DAOs and how we can sort of share structured ownership and things. Funding models, the challenge of trying to get government grants, for instance, to understand that it doesn't have to be about job creation, it can be about freelance and nurturing an industry. We're proving to Wales, for example, that it's actually totally possible to do a AAA game in Wales right now. Just don't expect everybody to be in Wales. And I would really love to see it be easier to find freelancers. I'd love to see recruiters deal with that more. I'd love to see sites deal with that more, directories, so that you can find these people who don't want jobs and who don't want to move, just simply want to work with the best people out there. That's it.
So, I'm curious, I work in the game industry for a global hosting company, but I'm also an adjunct professor at a game program in the United States. And I've noticed that a lot of the students about to graduate, some of them just have very poor social skills when it comes to communication. Even if you look at their Slack channel, they probably get a talking HR person pretty quickly at a company. Have you found that to be a challenge when you're recruiting freelancers, whether they obviously they have a lot of experience and are good with communication already, but someone who may not be used to not working in an office environment where you can just talk to somebody? I find that some people just aren't a good fit for working remotely.
a challenge with people who are younger, who don't have the experience. We've been getting really involved in the university setting within South Wales. University of South Wales has a bachelor and master's program. And in fact, we were there yesterday. We designed their second-year master's program for them. So we gave them a high-level pitch. And they had 12 weeks to build 6 versions of what we discussed. And so we're trying to certainly be more visible in the university. We've actually hired someone who just graduated out of there as well as a freelancer, but initially as an intern, and he proved himself so indispensable, truly indispensable, that we've hired him on for 6 months as a commitment just to have him keep doing what he's doing because he was so good. He would have been hard to find otherwise. So I think it's really important to be involved at the university level with people and giving them that path. Because one of the things we found out really quickly from the universities locally was that people were graduating and going to England because they just didn't think there were any opportunities for them anywhere else. I also found that people weren't pairing up enough with each other. I did a talk at University of Cardiff with programmers, and I asked them towards the end, how many of you have actually made a game? And I think one person raised their hand. And I said, why? Like, Unity's free. You have other people within your university who are in complementary disciplines. Now is the time that you should be getting to know each other. Because that artist across the way is going to be your best mate making games with you. And you need to find those people now, and you need to make games. You don't decide you want to make movies and not make movies, as an amateur. And it's the same thing. So I'm really encouraging the students within Wales to just get out there and fail and do stuff.
Yeah. One other barrier I've noticed, though, is that freelancers, it requires a certain business background to be able to have your own business. That's also not taught, or I don't know any good resources for people who are starting out their own. So I think that's also a challenge for people who are scared about how do I handle taxes, how do I handle invoicing, accounting. It's that part, especially for artists and programmers, that's not really there.
It kind of makes you wonder if they'll go kind of like the Hollywood route of having agents who just represent people as opposed to trying to fill jobs.
Right.
Certainly at the higher end, you'll see things like that. Some of the artists on our game, because they're artists, have agents, we're dealing with that sort of stuff. Certainly, we're using actors from Doctor Who for our game, so they obviously don't have all that covered, but it's definitely a legitimate thing. I think we've tried to make it as easy as we can. I found the guy that we hired at the University of South Wales, but it's certainly a challenge. Certainly early on in your career, it's a challenge compared to what you can do later. But, God, you look at the stuff that's being successful at Steam and on the app stores, and some of these things were made by 22-year-old guys, their first game, and they were just full of enthusiasm. And when I got involved in the industry 20 years ago, it was kind of like at the tail end of that being possible. And for years, I remember doing talks saying, like, look, people would say to me, so I've got a really good idea for a game, what do I do with it? It's like, go get a job as a tester and work your way up and hope that someday you'll get to do your cool idea if you still think it's cool. But suddenly that's not the case anymore. Suddenly one person, look at Stardew Valley, one guy worked his ass off for 3 years or 4 years or whatever, and did something amazing. Right. And so for me, if I were just getting out of school, I would be so jazzed up about that it's actually possible. It was a long time it wasn't possible.
Thank you.
If you are a freelancer, how do you make connections? How do you find business? How do you find work?
Well, that's what I was saying, because I think that's one of the challenging things right now, is that there aren't a lot of sort of networking opportunities out there for freelancers. It's something I hope changes. I mean, it goes back to this idea of a hub and a spoke. There need to be people out there, showrunner type people who can bring that talent together. It's certainly what Lee and I are trying to do. We know we can get projects. We know we can raise money to do those projects, and we have a rough idea of who can do any aspect of a project. So now it's just a matter of growing that network, and when a project comes up, figuring out, okay, now we need this specialized thing, so who can do that aspect of it? It's no different than making a movie, They're going to make a new movie, they know who the actors are, they know who the camera people are, and everything else, to assemble all that together. And it feels like game making is finally heading that direction too, where it's just a matter of everyone getting to know each other and being comfortable with the idea that it's not a permanent job, it's a freelance thing, and at the end of it, you're going to be another freelance thing. And hopefully, if everyone's friendly and gets along with each other, they'll just keep rolling into projects together. We have a lot of overlap between the two games that we're about to ship with people who are on both projects. So. But definitely it needs to be easier. Like I said, there was a period of time where before we signed on this new project, I thought about just doing some freelance work, and I was really bummed out to see how much full-time work was out there and how little there seems to be on freelance and contractors. I never planned to work in office again. I laugh when I get emails from recruiters. No way. It involves going to an office and looking at it.
Thanks.
So you said the we're able, I'm in a position of a student who maybe potentially goes to freelance kind of work in design. Since you said there aren't very many places where you could look for if you want freelance opportunities, where were you able to look and what were you looking for?
Where have I looked?
Where were you looking, or where did you look, given there weren't many places to find freelancers?
It was a lot of legwork on my own part. You know, like I said, when Mel said to us, how much of this game can you do? Fortunately, I had a very small area that I had to start looking at. And I started looking up artists and writers because it was very appropriate to what we do. And I found out that there was tremendously talented people, and I kept digging and turning over rocks and realizing there were more of them. And so I think I kind of got lucky in that. But the more I searched around using things like LinkedIn and referrals of friends and stuff, I kept coming across people who wanted a different lifestyle. There's a programmer that we're talking about working with in our next project who's a lead programmer of Rare. He's been programming for 20 years, and he moved back because that's where his family was, and he wanted that quality life for his kids. And there are a bunch of these people I just keep coming across, and so that just makes me think that the more of these people are out there, the more possibility. And then you hope to continue to then bring in interns. I mean, it's totally valid, the idea of what happens when you're young. And that's why I think for that to work, you have to be willing to mentor, intern, and nurture talent and bring talent in, which is certainly what we're trying to do. Otherwise, you eventually run out, right? Everyone retires and no one's going to be afraid.
For now, as people trying to get in the disposition of people who might be freelancing, it's just trying to make it as business as possible through like companies can find.
Absolutely,
Set up all the accounts and stuff for big needs.
Exactly, yeah. Let's talk to people, get to know people. We do what we do, obviously. And I also think